Luke, what do you expect Marcus to do out there today?
Not a lot as far as our main football session. He'll definitely run some straight lines and get a feel for how it is, and I don't want him to do too much at all because it's settled down and it's not a major injury. He was able to play out the game, but it's a Friday before a Sunday game, so if we can not stir it up and he recovers really well, then he'll definitely play on Sunday.
So you're pretty confident he'll be right?
Yeah, pretty confident, particularly because he was able to play on it, and there was no, it wasn't loose. It was stable. It was a little bit painful, but he was able to grind his way through that. So he settled well, and because there's no real instability there, that just gives you confidence it'll be okay.
Would you expect him to spend a bit more time forward or limit his game time or anything like that?
No, if he's going to play, things won't change a lot. He'll still spend a little bit of time forward, but the template for his involvement and his roles is there for us, and I wouldn't expect that'll change too much.
Morris, Daniel, Libba, do they come back in?
Moz definitely under consideration, playing extremely well now at VFL level. He's been able to test himself out. The challenge now, it's a good spot to be in, is that role that Dale plays. Ordinarily he's just a walk-up start. Now backline's playing pretty well, and it's difficult to omit any of those lads who have been performing those roles particularly well. So that's a challenge in his domain, and for us, and so Dale and I will continue to talk about that, but he'll train today and he'll definitely be considered. The other two lads, they're on track to play. Just need to get a good session today under their belt, and if they get through, they're most likely going to be playing on Sunday.
Luke, how do you see the Saints this week? Obviously, always a challenge, I guess, facing a team that's lost their coach during the week, as history seems to indicate.
Yeah, it always stimulates some kind of different emotion and maybe some subtle change in what teams do when you have a different messenger before games. And we've already seen the Saints evolve a little bit. Everyone was pretty impressed with their start to the year. They talked about themselves as being the fittest team in the competition, and everything they did really displayed that they'd prepared pretty well for the year. It's just unfortunate they've had a lot of injury. A lot's gone wrong. They've had some mental health challenges, so you can imagine some of the turmoil and some of the things that they've had to deal with. So as far as execution and their sort of game style and what they'll do, we wouldn't expect a hell of a lot of change. There might be some subtle role changes and maybe a number here or there. We'll prepare for that. But, like we always say, it just gets back to what you can control and influence, and we've got some momentum, so we'll just go out and look to build on that again this week.
Does it help you've seen it firsthand this year? I mean, you got David Teague second up. That was a really good game. You got North in Brad Scott's last game. They played with a bit more emotion. Does it help you've had a look at it this year?
I don't know. I mean, the important thing is to probably just not even identify with it, and just concentrate on what you're doing. That's the critical thing. History shows that some of the teams that have had that happen to them have won the next week, and maybe there's been a spike in performance. But again, if there is a spike on their behalf, then it just means that the challenge for us is it doesn't change. It just means that they're going to make it more difficult for us, and the teams we've played in recent times have gone out, set about doing that anyway. So we're okay with it. Yeah.
If the Saints or any of the other clubs looking for a coach wanted to chat, would you be willing to engage with them?
Great little segue there, Danny. I appreciate that. I mean, my situation and my investment with our footy club is always going to be constant. And even at early days, we've been in discussions. I mean, I have regular meetings with the president, Peter Gordon. Him and I catch up every 4 weeks. I have a fortnightly meeting with Meet Baines, our CEO, and I have a fortnightly meeting with Chris Grant, Chris Maple, our heads of our footy department, and the ongoing sentiment has always been positive. And during the bye weekend, Peter and I spent some time together and talked about my future and the club's stability. And and we both decided that there was no great urgency around getting anything done. But I'm fully committed here, and the club's committed to me. But in recent times we've sort of formalised those discussions a little bit more, and so we agreed to formalise it and for the future on Wednesday. So I'll be recontracted until 2023, and hopefully all our supporters are happy with that. So there's never been any question of that. We're heading somewhere. We're looking to be the best side in the competition again, and we're on the right track.
Before you make the decision to re-sign, do you have to go through the process of considering whether you want to be at the club and stuff like that, or to you was it just a simple one, you love the club, you want to stay?
Oh, there's no doubt that when you go through some periods where there's some troughs as far as the wins and losses go, and there's some challenging commentary and even sentiment around whether or not we may be heading the right way. They're the important times when you want consistency in behaviours, in support, belief in what you're doing, and I've never ever been concerned that hasn't been there. We've been the challenges are always there. We've had some unique ones, and the challenges up ahead will remain, and they'll be different, and we'll need to confront them. But the club has always indicated that they're really confident in me, in the rest of our coaches and our staff, and where we want to take our players and our club. And so there's never been a question. Yeah, there's no doubt that with some of the instability in the coaching fraternity and the ranks, there's been a bit of noise, and my preference is, regardless of whether or not there's been any overtures in my direction, my preference would be just to not even go there, because all that mattered was that I was always going to commit here.
You should be a journo breaking news like that yourself. So that 3-year extension, so that's done, or it's about to be done?
It's done, yeah. So it's 3 years on top of the year that was already there, 2020, and so that's been agreed upon. And yeah, look, I suppose it's an important message for our fans and for our club that there is stability, as I mentioned earlier. But when our players sign and they reinvest and they indicate that they're really happy with where our team, where our club is going, that's a big fillip for our footy club and our supporters. And I suppose, as a coach, you kind of hope that our supporters feel the same way about your reappointment. But I don't really want to. I mean, there'll be obviously some press releases and some noise around it, and I've got to be comfortable with that. But it's just righto. That's all tied up now. Let's move on and focus on what's more important, and that's this week against the Saints.
Did your ears prick up this week when Tomo said the Saints should offer you 10 years?
Well, Tomo's always been a great supporter of mine. He has, and I really appreciate him. I've had a conversation here and there, not for a while, but he's got a lot to offer. He's got a lot of experience, and I love the fact that he thinks that would have been a good move for the Saints. I still have a strong emotional connection to the Saints, but you can imagine what my connection is here now. But I really appreciate him feeling that way and even communicating that. But that really didn't have any bearing on anything in the end.
Do you know of any clubs have touched base with your management that are looking for coaches right now?
Here he is, my management. I'm my own manager, so you obviously didn't know that, George.
I did not know that.
No, so and I like to keep it watertight, and that's why I sort of look after those things myself, and as I said, if I'm talking as my own agent, I'd rather keep any of those conversations private if I can.
Do the players know?
Yeah, just told them then, and so I think hopefully most of them are happy.
On another topic, Mitch Wallace, do we have an update there? Do we know how long he's out for?
He's probably going to be out for the rest of the year. We'll probably explore the surgical route this weekend. We'll give you more on that when it's confirmed. He still needs to go in and talk to the specialists and really make sure that that's what's going to happen. And even what that is. So until that's actually totally confirmed, I'd rather not give you any detail. But it's most likely he won't play for the rest of the year, and that he'll have some surgery in the short term.